Hi everybody, welcome to episode 17 of Private and Listed, and thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about finding the buyer who's really there to buy, as opposed to what I call a tire kicker, of which there are many in the world. Everybody is happy to have a free look at your business. So let's get started. You've built a business for many, many years or over the period of your lifetime, and you've reached a point where you want to transition it and sell it. And you think, I don't know how to do that. I've built my business and I'm good at it. I know who my competitors are. And where do I go? From my perspective, I don't take owner's trust lightly. I've sat with people at the most consequential moments of their business life. I've done it across healthcare, cosmetics, FMCG, industrial manufacturing and facilities management and others. And I've helped them get to successful closes. And that experience is what today's episode is all about. So when an owner says, I want to sell my business, they immediately go, where do I go and who do I go to? And the first thought is competitors. We've discussed it on earlier episodes. And competitors, of course, they'll have a look at you. Private equity firms, if it's fits in their mandate, their size and scale, of course they'll have a look at you. Family offices, if it fits into their family mandates, whether it's real estate or FMCG or facilities management or something along those lines, of course they'll have a look at you. And anyone will put their hand up and say, I can take you to people. I've got a network, I can do this and I can do that. And you're new to this selling process. You've built a business all your life. You're not a professional seller of a business. So you listen to who's close to you and you take advice and counsel people. And you often get introductions. So people are willing to help you and they'll say, look, I know this person that's involved in advisory, and they'll help you sell your business. That's all you know. You trust your friend. What you don't know is that the person that you're being introduced to, of course, they're going to want to talk to you about selling your business. There's money involved. They're going to ask for a fee. They're going to ask for a success fee, and they're going to tell you how good they are. And you get swept up in the emotion. You've spent 20, 30 years building a business, and you think, wow, this person might be able to help me sell my business. But that's not always the case. So you have to do your own due diligence. You need to work out what you want from the sale in your mind, and you've been thinking about it for a long time. And it may be not what the buyer wants. The buyers all have their own agendas and their own methodologies. But you want to transition your business. So you go for a walk, you think about it, you meet a few people, and they all tell a good story. But what you want to know is my business saleable, and who is it saleable to? And what methodology do I need to use to get an outcome that's sensible? This is where the trusted advisor comes in. Not easy to get to that point, but when you get to it, you'll know it. The trusted advisor's role is to do two things. It's to help find potential acquirers of your business, and it's to vet them. You don't need to vet them. You will be so uptight about selling your business, and if it's on a needs basis, you need to do it sooner rather than later, then you'll be more forthcoming with information. If you're more relaxed and calm about it, you'll be less forthcoming, but you'll still be an emotive issue. The trusted advisor needs to vet the competitor that might be interested in buying you, the private equity firm that might be interested in taking you into their portfolio, or the family office that would put that into the family suite of businesses. I've done this across the various industries that I mentioned, but they've all got specific nuances. When you are an owner and you talk to somebody, let's say there's 3 or 4 people that are interested in your business. There may only be 1. There might be 6. It's generally not a public display of affection, because you don't want that, because, as I've said earlier, customers walk away when they know that your business is for sale. But you're allowed to sell it, but need to do it in a thoughtful and discreet process. Trusted advisor should know that. The trusted advisor then needs to talk to the family office, understand what the family's mandates are. If your business doesn't fit in that family mandate, there's got to be a really good reason why there would be a synergy or a segue to bolting your business on and putting it in the family portfolio. And that only comes through, and I'm talking about specific family offices, not ones where they work across a whole group of different family offices. I'm talking about a specific single family office. And you would need to be introduced to the people that run that office and potentially the father, mother, son, daughter, whoever's the next stage of that family office. And you want to know from them, what are their motivations about why would they be interested in acquiring your business, and what would it look like post an acquisition? There's private equity that will, of course, if the size and scale of your business is acceptable, of course they want to have a look. They'll have a look, and that might be for them to acquire outright and then leverage it and scale. It might be for them to bring into one of their portfolio companies, which potentially is a better fit for you because there will be existing synergies and efficiency systems and processes in the company that they already own that could acquire you and roll you up. On a like-for-like business, you will know the questions that will come to you and you will know how to answer those. And the group that's looking to acquire you will naturally be of a bigger size and scale and have potentially or should have the checkbook to be able to do this. But this is your advisor's role. So the advisor needs to talk to each of these groups. There's a lot of intuition. There's a lot of acumen, but there's a lot of intuition in does this business fit alongside with this business? And then the advisor needs to interview and talk to each of the potential family office, private equity or competing businesses. And you just socialise it at the start. And you then go, okay, this is a business that I'm acting for or working with, and they'd like to have this conversation. Of course, everyone will say, love to have a conversation. If it doesn't fit, then the advisor will pick that up very quickly, and the people that are potential inquirers will pick it up as quickly. And if they're honest, they'll say, oh, it doesn't fit. Thank you for the reach out. But most of them will say, I'm interested in doing that. I'm interested in having a look and talk to the owner. The owner gets excited. Right? You call and say, look, I've had a conversation with party X and I'd like to talk to you about it. This is where, as an owner of a business who's looking to sell, you need to hunker down. You need to be grateful for the call and have the call. You need to talk headline about your business and your motivations and what you want to do. This is an introductory phone call, don't forget. And then you need to ask the party on the other side, can you tell me about your business? Can you tell me what the portfolio companies that are in your business? What are your motivations? Why would you be interested in buying my business? And if we came to terms, what would you be looking to do with that in the future? Would you look for me to be involved? Would you look for me to not be involved? Invariably, the owners of these types of businesses that need to be sold, they need to stay in there for a while. It's just practical, but you can negotiate all of that. This is where the protection of a trusted advisor works best. When you run a sales process, and that doesn't have to be a big thing, it just means that the trusted advisor talks to the potential acquirers and says, we're going to run a discrete process for a period of time. And that might be, just give everyone a chance. Let's just say 60 to 90 days to find the right parties. And then at the end of that period, we will require a term sheet or a letter of intent, whichever you prefer to call it. And then we will grant exclusivity at the end of that 90 days to one party. So what that does for you as an owner, it gives you comfort that you may end up it gives you comfort that you'll end up with a qualified party at the end of the 90 days. You may end up with no one. So you have to be prepared that if you do run a process, that no one may be going to submit a term sheet or an LOI. But if things go well, you may end up with 2 or 3 genuine parties. And at the end of that, they will have produced this term sheet. Before that gets submitted, and then you can identify which one you want, and you give exclusivity to. At the start, you must sign a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement. Unfortunately, in the modern world, what they are is a fantastic statement of intent by both parties, but they really don't stack up if pushed, if people are taking your information and going elsewhere. It's very hard to do it, but it shows that you care about your business, and it shows the person at the other side that they've got, they agree with the confidentiality. So that's the starting point. And then what you don't do is answer every question for the next 90 days and give away all your information. You want to give more information away when you get a letter of intent or a term sheet and you're granted exclusivity. It means that the chemistry, the discussion flow has been sensible for that period, and your advisor has managed that. Your advisor should always be involved in those discussions, and help navigate through to that period of or that event. You'll have a lawyer that you, either an in-house lawyer, you have an external lawyer, you have an internal accountant, or you have an external accountant. Terrific advisors, no problem. But in the business sense, they need to be guided through this as well. This is your business. This is your decision to sell, and it's your decision and the potential acquirer's decision as to whether there's a meeting. When you select that advisor, you need to ask them, what have you done? So you're going to do two sets of due diligence. You're going to do due diligence on the advisor that you're potentially accessing and signing up, and you're going to do ongoing due diligence with the buyer. You need to ask the advisor, what have they done and what have they closed? Where have they closed? At what industries have they closed? How much do they know about your industry? It will come out through a conversation. You'll know whether that advisor has got a good track record and has been successful, and they actually can add value to your selling process, which again is extremely emotive to you, and you don't know how to go about it. You'll also need to do due diligence on the buyer, as they will do on you, because you've got staff involved, you've got system and processes, you've got HR, you've got legal documents. Documentation is important. You've got legal documentation, you've got customer documentation, and the buyer's wanting to fish out effectively and correctly, how's the forward-looking cash flow going? And can I roll this up with or without the principal? Some businesses, like wealth management businesses, for example, are an easy roll-up. There's a book of clients, bigger wealth management group wants to buy a smaller one, you bolt the book on. You really probably need a principal to migrate that for a while because they've built the business up. So that's a roll-up. Facilities management is another one. A big facilities management company can go and acquire other facilities, smaller facilities management, which might give them a new state, new region, or, schools or hospitals or what have you. They're natural synergies, and that will come out in the conversation. You still don't want to give your clients out until at the end when you've granted the exclusivity. And this process, it works. Anyone that you can't leave the door open for everybody. The fixed timeline helps because it then immediately tells the private equity firm, the family office, or the competing business that you are serious about what you're doing. And if you want to have a look, show me that you want to have a look, and then do something about it at the end of the point in time. So selecting the advisor, you need to go through, again, all you can do, because you don't know you've got a business, is just ask people around you and do some research as to who's got good track records and who doesn't. Be very wary of people that talk a good story and talk the talk, and dig deep to see what they are intending to do for you and why you think that they would. I mean, they'll become a mentor. You will actually trust them. But they need to be passionate about your business. And so my experience through doing this over a lengthy period of time is I need to feel good about the business, and I need to feel good about the owner, because you become submerged in that business and You need to know that the owner's telling the truth, and you also got to vet that the buyer's telling the truth, because you don't want surprises halfway through. You go, I didn't know that. So if the advisor's asking a lot of tough questions, you need to answer them, because if the advisor's doing their job properly, they're wanting to get all the good and the bad out of you and how the business has gone, so it's transparent to a potential buyer. Because invariably, an owner of a business or a CEO will tell all the good. They'll open about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities they have, but they'll predominantly tell the good part of the story. A sophisticated potential buyer of a business will ask to speak to your CFO or financial accountant or whoever runs the books, and they'll say, where's the money come from, where's it been spent, and what are things looking forward. And in the modern world, the CFO or the finance managers are far more sophisticated than when, 25, 30 years ago. They're much more hands-on the business. They should be. But again, this is something new. You know how to get clients. You know how to get supply chain. You know how to navigate your way along the footsteps of the industry that you're in, but you certainly don't know how to sell a business. So your heart rate is up, your anxiety's up, but you've got to find that right advisor. So go through talk to people that you know. Just be guarded all the time, and then go and interview the advisor who ultimately can become the trusted advisor, and just settle on what you feel comfortable with. Because this is not a 30 or 60 day process. It's a much longer process. Even when you sign a term sheet and give exclusivity after that 90 days, or 60 days, whatever you want, there's still another 90 days, and it'll go over that as well till you settle the transaction. The emotive points will come later. When everyone starts digging deep, you go into data rooms, you start signing sale and purchase agreements, you negotiated representations and warranties. But that's after. This episode is about the meaningfulness of a trusted advisor and how they can vet the potential acquirers, the private equity, the family office and the competing corporate. It's their job is to hold your hand through this process in a professional manner and get you a successful outcome. No fluff. Be prepared for a lot of questions that you don't like or you haven't heard before, but they're there for a reason. It's to show the advisor is on top of things, and the buyer will ask these questions as well. You will get questions that you've never had in your life because you haven't gone through a selling process before. But if you do it properly and effectively, you'll get an outcome. You'll get the outcome that you want, and just by putting that timeline in place, you can sleep at night. And you'll still worry about how many buyers am I going to have. I'm going to have 4, 5 or 6. You don't want 4, 5 or 6 because it's just too hard. If you get 2 or 3 that are genuinely interested, one will stick its head up, submit something that you're comfortable with. If a term sheet and letter of intent is filed, you can still negotiate that before you grant them exclusivity. But you are in control of it. Just leaving it open and letting this thing go on ad infinitum doesn't work. You will get nowhere because people will always suck information out of you and have a look at your business without committing to doing something. That's the role of a trusted advisor, and that's what a business owner needs to select and do well. Thank you for listening. If you've got any questions, Heyjamie at privateandlisted.com, and I hope you get something out of this episode. Thank you.